Hey, everybody, welcome back to Leaders Lead question number 2 with out of 5 with Bill Wilder. We're excited to have you. Bill's a great leader. Um, we're excited to hear what he's got to say, dropping some wisdom. Air Force veteran here, and just an all around good dude. Bill, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having
Thanks.
me.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking time out. I'm sorry that you got that southern heat now and not this Minnesota fall. I mean, come on. I don't know what you're thinking. Uh,
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
you'd need
Who
you
wants
would
to
probably
leave all
need
that snow?
you probably need
What's that?
some you'd probably need some winter clothes already because you're already conditioned to that stuff
That is
down there.
very
But
true.
um,
That is very true.
so, hey, man, just want to say before we get going, thanks for your service, brother. Um,
Thank you.
we're proud of for what you've done. You've raised a great family, and you're a good dude. And just want to say that as we get going on question number 2 here, uh, anything that you want to add about your background that maybe people didn't pick up or that you didn't share on the first episode that you like to add on this one?
I mean, look, life's a journey. Here's the thing I would say is not necessarily position related, but I've been very fortunate throughout my career that I have worked for people both in the military and outside of the military who felt it was important to invest in people who showed the ambition and the aptitude and kind of wanted to get along or do something in their career.
Mm-hmm.
And, I would be remiss if I didn't take a moment just to thank all those people who say, you know what, I got 90 things to do today, but I'm going to invest in this kid. I could tell lots of stories, but I mean, I can't even count the number of times a C-level executive at Best Buy with all their schedule would say, "Hey, Wilder, get your butt in here. I want to show you something." And having the exposure to that has made all the difference in the world. So I just want to take a minute and say, in my background, just the number of people who've invested in me is just insane. And I look back sometimes and I shake my head because it's hard to believe what I've been able to get a front row seat and watch. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, man, that's rad. And I hope I know a few of them personally, and I hope that they're watching. Um, I hope one of them in particular is watching. I might send you a text and say you need to watch this. Um,
Okay.
that one dude that lives in Florida. That
Well,
one
that
dude.
would be one. That would be one for sure. Yeah,
That would be one that
absolutely.
I know.
Yeah. No,
But
there's a
yeah,
lot
there's
of.
yeah.
I'll give you a sidetrack on how fortunate my life's been. I don't even think you even know this story. So I was a young enlisted kid at Charleston Air Force Base. And I'm sitting there one day and I worked in a secure area. You can't get to where I'm sitting unless you have pretty decent security clearance. And I'm sitting there one day and this older gentleman, probably he was my age now. I mean, but he comes walking back there and he's like, he's looking for one of my coworkers. And I'm like, oh, she's at lunch. She'll be back in just a little bit. It didn't even dawn on me to question that this dude is in a secure area. And he's like, "Well, do you mind if I just sit down?" I was like, "Oh, have a seat. Hi, what's your name?" "Oh, my name is Bill." "Oh, hi, my name is Bill." Ha 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 ha. Ha. And so we get to chit chatting, and he takes an interest in me, and but we don't talk about anything of any substance. I mean, I don't know who this guy is from Adam. And then over a series of maybe 2, 3 months, this guy comes back and forth to the point he actually sits and talks to me before he talks to my coworker. We got to be really, really good friends. And then one day he asked me, he's like, what are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? And I was like, I'm enlisted. I'd really like to go into officer training school. I had my degree and I wanted to convert over. And he goes, well, I think I can help with that. And I'm like, okay.
Okay, who is it?
How about I write a letter of recommendation? I'm like, okay, great. And we finish the session and he leaves. And so then I asked my coworker that knows him really well, because up until this point I'd never asked, like exactly who is this guy, Bill? And he goes, you don't know who he is? And I'm like, no, that's William Westmoreland. I'm like, the guy that ran the Vietnam War? Yeah, that's William Westmoreland. And so he wrote my letter of recommendation to go to officer training school. And I promise you, every dialogue we had after that was radically different because now I started picking his brain as to what it was like to be in charge of the entire military during Vietnam. So that's the kind of fortunate, when I talk about people investing in me, having a guy like that invest in me was insane. You didn't
Bill,
even
that's
know
a
that
crazy
story, did you?
story. I didn't know that story. That's crazy.
It's a
Um,
little, it's wild. It was
that's a
wild.
wild story.
Yeah.
That's a Bill Wilder wild story. See what I did there?
Yep. Yeah. I saw exactly what you did. Yeah. You'll have to invite me back and I'll have to tell you the story as to what the relationship between him and my coworker, because that's cool. That's even cooler. But we'll save that for
Unbelievable.
another day.
Yeah, man. Hey, Bill, question number 2 out of question number 5. Leadership is often tested in challenging situations. Can you share an example from your military experience in your service when you had to demonstrate effective leadership under pressure? And what lesson did you take away from it? And how has it guided you in your civilian experience?
Sure. Sure. So during the original Gulf War, um, I deployed in pretty early. I was one of the first few planes to get on the ground. And at that point in time, there hadn't been really any meaningful procurement in a combat situation for nearly 20 years because all the operations, Haiti and Grenada, and they didn't really have procurement people on the ground. And when we went into the Gulf War, we knew we were going to be there for a while. And so when we hit the ground, we had obviously language issues to begin with, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
most of the people didn't speak English. But putting that aside, we had a very short period of time in August of '90 to get ready for just really a sea of soldiers and airmen and Marine that were coming to live at the facility that I was at. And one of the things that we noticed early on, because we were on a lot of pressure to get, the military doesn't fly with everything they need. They have to get stuff off the local economy. But we were losing a lot in translation. Uh, and so it was myself and several other procurement type people out trying to get it done. And I wasn't even the ranking member. I was at that point just a two striper. But I call this out because it was probably my first real understanding that leadership has nothing to do with job title and rank. One of the things I had observed early on was, like civil engineering or someone else, they would have these requirements and we were constantly bringing back the wrong stuff. We were constantly not getting what the troops needed to build out uh, for those arriving. And so pushed really hard with my commander, a gentleman by the name of Colonel Byrd, pushed really hard to get to get him to embrace. You could, back then in procurement, you could do sort of these field appointments where other people could spend money. And
Mm-hmm.
so worked to create this team uh, where we had like I had a mechanic assigned to my team. I had a construction civil engineer assigned to my team. I had an electrical civil engineer. So I had a team of 6 people that suddenly got assigned to me as a two striper. And I'm talking like master sergeants, tech sergeants, E6, E7, that type of thing.
People
And
that were
we
pretty
would,
tenured in their career, right?
very tenured in their career, but then they started traveling with me every day out into the city streets. We would roll out with like a deuce and a half or some other truck, and we worked together. And while that's not a positional leadership, it is leadership because don't get me wrong, they busted my chops because I was a two striper. I mean, let's be clear. But
It comes with the
at the
territory, right?
but at the end of the day, if you see something, I mean, this is what true leadership is, in my opinion. When you see something and you see a better way to accomplish a goal or accomplish a mission, stepping forward and be the voice of that change and make that change happen. There's some really cool things that are going to happen. First of all, if you can get people to trust you and go, they will follow you, and the rank on your sleeve starts to fade away. Um, and what ultimately happened in that scenario is I learned very clearly to um, not focus on rank, don't focus on position, focus on what you're trying to accomplish,
Hmm.
and don't get caught up in the way things are always done. And I will tell you, um, even following that deployment, that actually changed the way business was done in combat situations. I ended up having to serve on a commission and help kind of redo how combat procurement worked. But it was from a leadership perspective, getting back to your question, you're under a high pressure situation. How do you lead in that scenario? It really is about, taking a step back, looking at the situation, um, try to keep your emotions calm, because one thing about tight, high pressure situations is confidence is king. There's a military statement: "When in charge, be in charge." Right? That's Schwarzkopf's big mantra,
Hmm.
and it couldn't be more true, because I've seen it play out in the commercial sector over and over and over again, where um, when the crisis is hitting, be in charge. And in that scenario, even though I was a two striper, everyone knew I was in charge of this program, and it made all the difference in the world. Um, so I don't know if that's a best example, but I think that that's what came to mind when you asked your question.
Yeah, no, that I think that's a good one to illustrate to people that they used to. There's a saying, "RHIP, rank hath its privileges," and that's like the opposite of it, right? It goes to show that you don't need the title to
Right.
command the authority of others. And um, early in my career, it was all about, man, I got to be this title, I got to be that title, I got to be this. And it was all about get the title, get the title, get the title. And that's
Yeah.
a really good one. And I hope that um, people earlier in their career pick and click into this one and understand that you can lead without the title. You can run
Well,
teams
I
without the title.
I will tell you, at the end of the day, if you have aspirations of getting to the top of some organization, whether it be professional or personal, the leaders at the top of the organization are looking for the extraordinary. They're not looking for someone who just does good in their job, because that's
Yeah.
not, I mean, that might get you your next promotion, but that's not going to get you to the top. What's going to really make a difference is when you have to demonstrate leadership long before you get the title. That's
Hmm.
probably the best way to think of it, is um, almost think of the title as, like go taking us all back in high school, right? At the end of year of every school year, they have a award ceremony, and they give you an award for what you accomplished. Almost think of title in that same context, because they will give you the title long after you've earned it. They won't give you
Hmm.
the title before you've earned it.
Yeah. You taught me this one, that um, when it comes time to apply for a job, you've already done the job interview,
Mhm.
right? You've already proven if you're operating at that level or not. So when it comes time to think about your next advancement, now's the time to start acting,
Mhm.
playing those roles, taking on those extra things.
Yep.
So for the ones that are watching this, if you're looking for that advancement, start, go work with your manager, go work with your leader, and
Well, and,
look
and
at what that next step is.
yeah, and for your listeners, there is no doubt that many of them work or exist in an organization where, let's say, they push the boundaries, the leaders push back and tell you to shut up and color and
Hmm.
whatever. And I'm going to tell you, just, you're in the wrong organization,
Hmm.
right? Those people are fearful of your success, of you being successful, not necessarily your success, but you being successful. And those are not people you want to have as your leaders. And that's the only advice I would give you. I know it's easier said than done, but you want to work in organizations where they promote a culture of innovation, promote a culture of leadership, not by title, but
Yep.
leadership by who's in the best position to lead.
Right people in the right seats.
Mhm.
Yep, you're absolutely right. Bill, thanks for going through question two of question five on the podcast. How can for those who missed episode one, I don't know why they would. Um, I mean, it's great. What can we do to support you, man? How can we continue to spread the word about Bill and what you're passionate about, and what we can do to lift you up?
Again, pay it forward. I mean, we talked a little bit about folks who've invested in me, invest in others, but specifically, there is one thing that I am very passionate about, and my company is dedicated to, and that's providing employment opportunities to military spouses. You know, from my time there, most military spouses end up having to give up on any career aspiration because jobs aren't all that transportable. And so, if folks out there are in a position to maybe recraft how the jobs in their organization occur, military
Yeah,
spouses are great team members. They work hard, they're smart. It's a win-win, but it may inconvenience you a little bit because maybe they're working in one state this week, and in 3 months they're working in a different state. But if you can make it happen, I mean, they're an incredible workforce. So that would be what I would ask for.
yeah, man. I agree with you. They're often the unsung hero behind the team member that is serving, and their
Right.
job is typically the harder of the two, because they're keeping the wheels on the bus back home, and
Yep.
taking
Absolutely.
care of everything. So I think you're absolutely right, Bill. Hey, Bill, thanks for being with us today for question number two out of question number five. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much, sir. And
Great.
looking forward to next tomorrow's episode. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow.
Great. Thanks, Zach.
Yep, you bet.